يا ابن زهرا امان زین جدایی الاجل يا ابن طه کجایی.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. We seek the protection of God from shaitan, who has been disqualified from God's kingdom of special grace and mercy because of his arrogance and his defiance. If we avoid the satanic habit of arrogance, whatever we know to be true by the guidance of the God-given intellect, the human conscience, and the divine revelation, we submit. And if we avoid the satanic habit of defiance, whatever we know to be wrong and evil by the guidance of the God-given intellect, the human conscience, and divine revelation, we do not commit. And if we have reliance on God, definitely we will get the strength to be able to realize, to resist, and to conquer any satanic temptations. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We humbly ask for grace and guidance from God because He is the all-perfect being. Anyone who wants to achieve any guidance or goodness definitely will need the original virtue to flow from Him and Him alone. And we ask for His grace and guidance because He is Rahman. His Rahmah, His love, His mercy, His attention moment by moment reaches out to each and every one. Whether we know it or not, whether we realize it or not, it's by His grace we are alive, we thrive, and we grow and develop towards our goal of perfection. And we turn to Him because He is Rahim. His continuous grace and mercy is available in abundance, eternally, to a degree which is unimaginable in the Akhirah. But it is only for those amongst us who believe in Him and who follow His guidance. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammad wa alihi al-tahirin. And we send our salutations and greetings on the Holy Prophet and on his holy progeny, who are the best guides for mankind till the end of time. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We've assembled tonight to celebrate the anniversary of the birth of the 11th Holy Imam, Imam Abu Muhammad, Imam Al-Hadi Ashar, Sibti Sayyid Al-Bashar, Walid Al-Khalaf Al-Muntazar, Shafi' Al-Mahshar, Al-Sayyid Al-Zaki, Al-Radi Al-Askari, alayhi salam. Imam alayhi salam was born in 232 AH and he was martyred in 260 AH. So that's a short life of about 28 years only. His father, Imam Ali al-Naqi, was martyred when he was about 21, 22 years. So his period of imamate was very short, 6 years. He was a young man when he became an imam. His period and duration of imamate was very short. And that gives a clear indication that barring any major disease which he was suffering, and there's no indication that that was the case, definitely the circumstances in which he was living, of being closely monitored, of being sequestered, of being contained, of being in a military garrison, that means there was intense persecution on him, and finally therefore his death would have been something that was probably plotted and designed and executed by the Zalim powers. In order to appreciate what guidance we can receive from the Imam alayhi salam, allow me to remind ourselves about the central role that the Imam plays in our lives, and then we see how we can draw lessons from the guidance of Imam. Basically, we believe that the human being is on his own incapable to realize all that is necessary for his spiritual development and his spiritual growth and prosperity in the dunya, and more so in the akhirah. The journey that we have to undertake individually, collectively, socially, politically, culturally, this journey is not an easy one. It's a difficult one. The path is dangerous. It is dark. We need illumination and light. We need supreme wisdom to show us the way. And it's dangerous. If we make mistakes, it can hurt us, it can hurt others, it can hurt the whole society. Indeed, it can hurt even the world of nature. And sometimes it's not only damaging, but it could be destructive. And worst of all, if we don't have the necessary guidance from the higher wisdom, it can lead to damnation. Not only damage, temporary, not only long-term destruction, not only permanent destruction, but the danger is there will be damnation in the next world. And therefore, we need somebody with a supreme, superior, supernatural intellect and wisdom to guide us. Number two, God has sent many guides, messengers throughout history. The last messenger has come. The message of the messenger needs to be maintained, needs to be received in its totality, maintained in its purity, transmitted and delivered to the future generations after the messenger. And this can best be performed by not an ordinary human elected representative, but a God appointed representative. So that's the second reason we believe we need an Imam. The third reason, of course, is we need an Imam because human beings are social beings. They live in a society. They need economic policies. They need political, administrative rules. They need educational, cultural, social guidelines. In all these areas, we would need a competent, selfless, righteous, virtuous, God-fearing leader who is inspired by God to make the best of the decisions for practically leading and guiding and governing the human society. And the fourth reason we say we need the Imam is that on the Day of Judgment, when everybody will be called for hisab, when the sinner, the wrongdoer, the corrupt, the evil, the wicked will be sent to the fire of hell, nobody should have an excuse to say, oh, I wish I knew the truth, so I would not have ended up here. The Imam performs that crucial, fundamental role of explaining, expounding, exposing, disclosing, revealing to every human being possible what is the absolute truth. Nobody should have an excuse, therefore, that they did not know what was right and what's wrong. These fundamental roles and tasks are necessary. If they're not performed, it means God is not aware of our problems. God forbid. We don't believe in such a God. It means God doesn't have the power to help us. God forbid. We don't believe in such a God. It means He knows our problems, but we are hurting ourselves. We are being misguided. We're in the dark. We're damaging ourselves. He knows our problems. He has the power to solve our problems. He doesn't want to solve our problems. Oh no, we believe God is loving, God is merciful, God is kind, God is compassionate. If we believe there is such a God, definitely there must be an Imam. And this is exact reasoning we find Imam himself explaining. Let me share with you the hadith. The riwayah says that once the the son of the Imam died, Imam Ali al-Naqi alayhi salam had 4 children, Hassan, Hussein, Muhammad, and a daughter, Aliya or Aliya. When Muhammad died, the eldest, people got worried. We thought he's the next Imam. If the Imam has died, then what's going to happen? So Imam Ali al-Naqi alayhi salam says, no, don't worry. The next Imam, Sahibukum Ba'di al-Hasan. Hassan is going to be the next Imam. And then Imam gives a reasoning. He says, La taghtam. Do not grieve. Do not be saddened by this event, and therefore there's going to be a total loss. God never fails in His plans. You may be mistaken in recognizing how God is executing that plan, but the plan nevertheless exists. Imam alayhi salam then recites this ayah from the Quran in Surah Tawbah, chapter 9, ayah number 115. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِلَّ قَوْمًا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَاهُمْ حَتَّى يُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ مَا يَتَّقُونَ. Allah will never ever punish a people and let a people go deviant, misguided, in the dark, hurt themselves. He will never ever allow such things to happen, punish them, abandon them, until and unless He has clarified and He has delivered and He has sent and He has blessed the humanity with a God-appointed guide. Who will come and clarify? لَهُمْ مَا يَتَّقُونَ. He will clarify for them what is necessary for their taqwa. Taqwa means they should know their duty towards the higher power, how to please Him, how to grow closer to Him, how to perfect themselves, how to develop themselves, how to avoid any behavior, any thought, any feeling, any character trait which will prevent this spiritual growth from taking place. Qanini inna Allah bikulli shay'in alim. God is all-knowing. He knows the weaknesses of the human beings, and therefore He knows how best to guide the human beings. So, having appreciated that Allah will never abandon humanity without an Imam, Imam Askari alayhi salam, during this short period of the duration of the imamate of 6 years, then performs his task of guiding. It's important for us therefore to know what he expects from us and what is the guidance that he has given us. Briefly, fundamentally, obviously, he expects us to be God-fearing, law-abiding, Sharia practicing individuals. So spiritually, we should be remembering God, and the most important thing is to recite the Quran, to remember constantly and regularly the Day of Judgment, to strive and to seek to learn more, to understand the truth and wisdom more, to seek forgiveness for one's sins, to have a social behavior of tolerance, of respect, of being hardworking, of being trustworthy. In the social arena, the guidance he has left behind, for example, despite the fact that he was in isolation and in house arrest, the means of communication he established was to appoint agents throughout the Muslim world through whom he would deliver his messages and receive the questions and problems from the followers. So one of the communications we have from him, he guides the followers and says, you as members of your community within the larger Muslim community should practice fraternity and brotherhood, should be friendly, should be attending the mosques of the Muslim brothers. If they are in need, help them. If there is a death, attend their funerals. If they want their dues to be paid, assist them. If there is a civic duty of testifying in the court of the Islamic Sharia, perform your civic duty. Economically, Imam alayhi salam encouraged the followers to be hardworking, to struggle, to earn from halal, to spend in halal ways, to share with those who are needy. In the political arena, his advice was, beware, Do not become part of a political system that thrives on nifaq. Munafiqs, they pretend to be Muslim governors and rulers, but in truth they are not Muslim rulers. Do not be supportive of such zalim, corrupt, evil systems. And in situations when necessary, practice taqiyya as the Imam himself was practicing. I would like to point out to one important guidance. One of the followers, Safar, Muhammad bin Hassan al-Safar, he says, I wrote a question to the Imam. I said that there is a situation whereby an individual has to come and bear witness and testify, but there is a woman involved. The interaction of a male witness and a female witness. So how am I supposed to testify? Should she appear in the court open-faced, whereby I can see her directly and therefore testify? Or no, should she be behind the curtain and I have two reliable witnesses who report to me that yes, this is the person who has been identified and who is being prosecuted or who is being questioned? Imam alayhi salam replies, this is the court of law. He says, تتنقب, she should come in a niqab, وتظهر ولا تظهر للشهود. If she comes in a niqab, then she can come in front of the witnesses. But if she's without the niqab, then she should not become zahir in front of the shuhud, insha'Allah. Safar says, this fatwa, or rather this directive, I have it with me in written. It's signed by the Imam. Obviously, this is based on the guidance which we have from the Quran, the observance of hijab in the interaction between the opposite sexes. Notice in the Quran, the issue of hijab is discussed extensively in Surah Nur and in Surah Ahzab. We have the hijab of the dress, how should a woman be dressed decently and modestly. We have the hijab of the eyes, how should the eye contact be. We have the hijab of the speech, what is allowed to be spoken. We have the hijab of the tone of the voice. Surprisingly, the Quran addresses even the tone. It should not be coquettish, for example. We have the issue of the use of cosmetics as far as hijab is concerned. These 5 issues are mentioned in these surahs. I will not go into the details. But I would like to share with you an interesting study that was done recently, 2011. The world's most extensive survey on romantic relationships, whereby more than 100,000 people were surveyed and almost 1 million or more data points were collected. A powerful interacting survey tool was used, and the result is, look at what they say. This was conducted by Chrisana Northrop and Pepper Schwartz and James Whitty. The result is, they say, fidelity of the mind and of the body is a rare exception. Whoa! That means people are unfaithful. And then they analyze. They say that Western society prizes freedom, the freedom to mingle freely between the sexes and to get easy access to members of the opposite sex. Lakini, it's this private survey conducted in an anonymous way, which is telling us that secretly and privately, these individuals are undergoing a high state of anxiety about themselves and about their partner. They say from these surveys we've discovered that the mere meeting of a person of the opposite sex has the potential to arouse a person emotionally and to arouse the person physically. See, joy, they're telling us in the survey, they're reporting about themselves. And incidentally, just because you are in a committed relationship, nowadays they don't even call marriage now, they call it a committed relationship. So you can have a cohabitation. So even if you're married, that is no guarantee that meeting a member of the opposite sex will not arouse in some a physical or an emotional state of arousal. So you may say, you know, it's a few percentage. And even that argument is a powerful one. Out of 100, if 10% are prone to get this arousal, and 10% therefore lead up to having illicit relationships, that means 10% of the society's families are breaking down. The damage, the price tag, the cost has to be picked up by the welfare, the education system, the hospitals, the rental system, the housing. They have to pick up the tab because they will dump the destructive remains of the family that they've broken onto society. Lakini, I just gave you a hypothetical figure, 10%. Listen to the actual percentages. Of the females, 60% report that they fantasize about the people whom they have met, even though they are married. Males, 90% report they fantasize sexually about the individuals they've met. Are you surprised therefore when the Quran talks about hijab, it talks to the males first, and to the males it talks about the eye contact. To the females it also talks about the eye contact, but more so it talks about the dress and about the voice and about the degree of interaction. These researchers say there is no stopping to the power of imagination. The conclusion, sexual temptation is something that happens not only to single people, but even to married people. Not only those who are recently married, but even those who have married for long. Not only those who are married for long and unhappy, but those who are married for long and happy. It's serious. It's dangerous. Unfortunately, we tend to take it lightly, this issue of the rule about the hijab. So Imam alayhi salam tells us that in the message that he wrote to Ishaq bin Ismail Nishapuri, in Arabic it's called Nisaburi, he tells Ishaq, the first thing you need to recognize that God has saved you from deviation by showing you the right path. You are blessed, you know who's the right leader to follow, the right spiritual leader. And remember this much, if you were to be blind here, من كان في هذه أعمى فهو في الآخرة أعمى وأضل سبيلا. If you're blind here, you'll be even more blind there. Thank God that you have vision here, you've seen the truth. And the greatest of all the blessings is that you have recognized who is the hujjah from God for your time. And therefore recognize that whatever is your duty towards God, it's not that God needs you to perform them, it's for your own benefit, it's for your own good, it's for your own development. And Allah will test you. Allah says in Surah Ma'idah, when you're in the state of ihram, even your halal spouse, you're not allowed to look at her with lust. She's halal, but you're not allowed to look at her with lust. She's halal, but you're not allowed to touch her with lust. And there's a penalty to be paid. But the interesting thing is the Quran says when you're in the state of ihram and you are not allowed to hunt for a prey, Allah will send a prey. Allah will send a bird of prey or an animal of prey. لَيَبْلُوَنَّكُمُ اللَّهُ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الصَّيْدِ. Allah will send a bird or an animal. Allah will make the bird or the animal of hunting prey come so close to you that it is within the reach of an arrow or a spear. No. That's not good enough a test. Allah will send the bird, haram for you to hunt in ihram, and the animal so near that all you do is stretch your hand out and you catch, to test you. لِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَخَافُهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. Who respects God and who respects and follows their own nafs? That's the challenge. The test is not only in ihram, the test is even in other areas of life. If Allah has said to look at a mahram is haram, be you sure, be you positive that a mahram is going to come in the range of your vision. No, she's going to come close. No, she's going to be fragrant. No, she's going to wear a provocative dress. No, she's going to speak to you in a coquettish way. No, you will be in a stressed position, vulnerable to temptation. That's where the test is. Imam alayhi salam says, but remember, Allah tests every individual in different situations. You need to develop the power of taqwa so you don't fall. And therefore, woe be to those who don't want to obey God, Imam says, and who don't want to accept the guidance of the messengers and the successors of those messengers. May Allah, we pray for you, Imam says, may Allah forgive your weaknesses and your acts of carelessness. And finally he concludes, if the stones were to hear this message that I've given to you, they would crumble out of the fear of God. Remember this much, whatever you do is being watched, it's being monitored, and it's being recorded. Finally, I would like to conclude with one dua. Imam alayhi salam was asked by one of his followers, can you teach us a dua? A dua is an expression of our innermost deep desire of that which we think is the best for us. So look at what Imam teaches us to desire from the bottom of our hearts, of that which should be our best aspiration. 4 things Imam teaches us to ask for. Number 1, ask for wealth, ask for health, ask for blessings, and ask for bliss. Ya asma' as-sami'in, wa ya absar al-nazirin, wa ya ahkam al-hakimin, وَيَا أَسْرَعَ الْحَاسِبِينَ وَيَا أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ. This is the address to God, invoking His names. Or the one who hears everything, who hears before anybody else can hear. Or the one who sees before everyone else, and who sees before and more deeper. In fact, even before the individual sees their own thoughts, Allah has seen it already. Or the one who is very swift in his account, or the one who is very powerful, or the one who is very merciful. These are the 3 fundamental reasons we worship and we pray to God and God alone. Because He knows me more than I do, because He has more power over me than anybody else, including me over myself, because He loves me more than anybody else can ever can, including myself. That's why I go to Him. Where else should I go? Oh Lord, I've come to you. What do I ask from you? 4 things. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Give me grace, but I know grace will not reach me because it has to come through medium. You have created the universe in such a way that there is a law of cause and effect. You're sick. You have to go to the doctor. If you're not an expert, you have to be mentally disturbed if you think with your own little knowledge you can cure yourself. Allah has set up the system whereby He has created diseases, but He has also created a cure for that disease. Whether it's going to be a particular drug or a particular modality of treatment, be it x-rays, be it surgery, whatever modality, they're experts who have learned what is an effective, efficacious method of curing that problem. Go to them. It's a world of mediums through which the grace of Allah flows. So I need 4 things, but the first thing is I need to recognize through which medium I will get that grace. Grace and greetings to be to the Prophet and his progeny. وَامْدُدْ لِي فِي عُمْرِي, give me a long life, healthy life. وَأَوْسِعْ عَلَيَّ فِي رِزْقِي, give me wealth also. And number 3, وَمْنُنْ عَلَيَّ بِرَحْمَتِكَ, bless me by your special grace. And number 4, give me the highest of all blessings, and that is وَاجْعَلْنِي مِمَّنْ تَنْتَصِرْ بِهِ لِدِينِكَ وَلَا تَسْتَبْدِلْ بِغَيْرِي. Accept me to be your agent through whom I will advance your cause, the godly cause, the spiritual cause, the humanitarian values. Let me become an agent. I get extra money, I share. I have extra intelligence, I help. I have extra power of compassion, I help. Everybody has got talents and skills in different areas. Allah distributes His blessings to different people in different ways. Everybody is responsible. But they should pray to be chosen by God to become an agent, to flow through whom to others, not to hoard and to keep for themselves. In conclusion, I would like to remind myself and our dear young friends 3 important messages I would like to share with you from Imam Askari alayhi salam. Number 1, Imam says, be reflective in your marriage. One of the most important things in marriage is to develop the habit of being able to listen to each other and to reflect on what is being said. لَيْسَتِ الْعِبَادَةُ كَثْرَةُ الصَّلَاةِ وَالصِّيَامِ وَلَكِنَّ الْعِبَادَةَ كَثْرَةُ التَّفَكُّرِ فِي أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. First of all, the fact that you have been blessed with the marriage is a blessing from God. Reflect on that. Number 2, this partner that you've got, you did not play a role in creating him or her. You didn't play a role in enabling her to develop, him or her to develop to this level. The attraction that is developed, the characters that you have, these are blessings from God. Thank God for that. During your relationships, you may come across situations where perhaps there is misbehavior, there is failure in expectations to match each other, there is frustration, there's a difficult situation. Don't overreact. Don't be impulsive. Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, if God blessed me with the marriage in the first place, and if God blessed me with this partner in the first place, how is He testing me right now in this situation? Reflect. Ibadah is not salah and saum only. Ibadah is to reflect how God is interacting with me in different situations, in this case through the situation of marriage. A second riwayah, Imam alayhi salam says, Al-ghadab miftahu kulli shar. Anger is the key to the door of every evil and affliction and difficulty. We are the ones who create problems for ourselves by how we react. We may not have control over the situation as it develops, but we definitely have the control over how we react to that situation. Does it provoke us? Or do we take a calm, controlled, composed reaction to that situation? And finally, advice number 3. Imam alayhi salam says, be respectful of each other. Don't make fun of each other. Don't ridicule. Don't humiliate. Don't joke in a degrading way. Don't be sarcastic of each other. Honor, respect, fundamental glue that keeps the marriage strong. The moment you become humiliating, you look down upon the other, the bond is breaking. The marriage is beginning to dissolve. Imam says, لا تماري فيذهب بهاؤك ولا تمازح. Usifanye mzaha فيجترأ عليك. As one of the marriage experts, Dr. Gottman, he says that without this one skill, the skill of respect and honor to the partner, all other marriage marriage counseling skills that they tell you are useless, because you will be using it in a degrading, humiliating, manipulating, controlling, selfish manner. Respect. He or she is a gift from God, creature of God. Respect God by respecting the creature of God. Let's pray to Allah for tawfiq and gratitude for this blessing of the birth of the 11th Imam and the nur and the guidance that we have received. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.